This is from our recent summit, and if you missed it, don't worry. We have quarterly summits showcasing the best products and services in chiropractic with some of the best speakers, and we hook you up with the best prices on all of those products so that you can help more people in your community.
Let's be honest. There's not a single chiropractor sitting here today that dreamed of sitting behind a computer, clicking boxes, doing soap notes, thinking about compliance. You became a chiropractor to change lives. We know that. You want to help people stand taller, move better, and live a pain-free life. It's a noble profession. And every chiropractor I talk to, they say they didn't choose this profession, it chose them. And yet, somehow along the way, the joy of patient care got buried under the weight of notes and clicks and all the other stuff that comes with managing a practice. But here's what I know about chiropractors. You're builders, you're innovators, you're entrepreneurs. You're not content to just get by. You want to thrive. You want to run wildly successful businesses and give incredible patient care. You want both. You deserve both. It's the heart of this profession. It's this delicate balance of art and science and service. Chiropractors are doers, you're visionaries. And that's why this room right here today is filled with the most forward-thinking doctors in chiropractic around. Because you're not waiting for the future to arrive. You're actually sitting here engaged, you're building it. And that's where we come in. At ChiroTouch, our mission has always been to make your success easier, to give you the tools to grow without sacrificing your purpose. We've been your practice partner for over 2 decades. From the first digital notes to now today's AI-driven workflows, and we've never stopped building for this profession. For those that I haven't met, I'm Blake Head. I'm the Vice President of Product. And later you will hear from Dr. Tammy Howard, Director of Product, a chiropractor herself who has dedicated her life's work to improving this profession. Earlier this year, we took a massive leap forward. We introduced RIO, the first AI assistant built specifically for chiropractors. And now we're taking the leap even further. Because today, we're happy to unveil RIO 2.0. She's smarter, faster, and more capable than ever. This isn't about technology for technology's sake. This is about freedom. Freedom to grow your practice, freedom to connect with more patients, freedom to lead this profession into a new era. So, please, allow me to introduce you to RIO. That's RIO. RIO is the AI assistant that was built directly into ChiroTouch. RIO is an unbelievable innovation. If you think about what RIO is at its core, RIO are all of the AI-powered solutions that we have built directly into ChiroTouch. RIO is eager to help. RIO is always on. She's always ready to work on your behalf, taking care of some of the most time-consuming tasks that you would typically have to do yourself. And what's even more exciting is because we offered RIO for absolutely no charge, RIO's already been used by thousands and thousands of chiropractors across the country. It's making their day better, one patient at a time. RIO is also extremely capable. You're going to learn today about all the different tasks that RIO is able to take care of today. And what's even more exciting, and I think this is a great example of that, is RIO is getting better and smarter every day. Every month, there are new things that are coming out, new technologies that are becoming available that we're able to deploy to make your day even better. And at the core of RIO, what we really focus on is making sure that RIO is there to assist you, not replace you. RIO's full job is to focus on making your day easier, making the care and the work and the administrative tasks that you have to do simpler and simpler over time. So, what is Rio? What skills does she have today? You can think of Rio as something that is going to connect the dots really across the entire flow of your day. It starts with intake. So if you think about an intake being completed by a patient, filling out all the different checkboxes, all the different questions that you have that your practice has sent out ahead of time, our Rio will take that intake paperwork from your patient, review all of that, and summarize that and put that directly into the subjective portion of your note. So you're not spending hours going through and retyping and regurgitating what that patient said. Obviously, like with all of our solutions, you're still in control. You still have the ability to modify that and update it based on what you learn from the patient, but that initial intake will all come flowing directly in. And for your follow-up patients, there's also an AI chart summary. So imagine rather than flipping through hundreds of notes or multiple notes that you've seen that this patient over time, or maybe you're taking over care for another provider and you don't know the detailed history of this patient, with a single click of a button, you can summarize an entire patient record and understand what's been going on with this patient over time. Then you walk in the room with the patient and you're ready to start the visit. That's where AI Scribe comes in. AI Scribe is built specifically to listen to the conversation and generate a fully compliant note on your behalf. And then we also have a chart note assistant. So this is for practices that want to modify the note that is already in the system. Think ChatGPT sitting on top of your note. You want to make your note longer, simpler, more verbose. You can easily apply those changes right to those. These 4 solutions are available to every chiropractor that's using ChiroTouch today. And what's really exciting is we get the opportunity to actually unveil 2 of our most innovative solutions that are coming out. And before I jump into the brand new ones, I'd also like to talk to you a little bit about some of the changes that we're making with Scribe that are becoming available. So if you think about Scribe today, what most Scribe solutions do really well is listen to the conversation, create a note. Ours does the exact same thing. But this most recent enhancement is actually bringing over the past note, the past context from what the patient has said to you in prior notes, because we know the vast majority of what you see and what you deal with on a day-to-day basis isn't going to change. But what does change does need to get back there and update the note. So, AI Scribes are really good for new patient visits up until this point. Now Scribe is going to be the right tool to use for every single visit going forward. So let's talk about what is new today. This is really exciting for us. So what we're rolling out as of today, you're the first group of people that get to hear about this, is AI Compliance Shield. So our compliance scanning solution will effectively look at your entire note, look at your procedure codes, look at your diagnosis codes, and start to understand, is there a mismatch somewhere in that process? Should you have documented more to meet what you had billed? Or is your billing maybe too high and you need to move that down, or vice versa? It will review and scan that all before you have to sign the note. So now you're preventing errors from going to your billing department and making sure that if a audit were ever to come back, you've effectively got documentation that is supported by your procedures and your diagnoses that are in the system. So really exciting advancement in terms of Compliance Shield. And the next solution that is just about to roll out by the end of this year is our AI scheduling solution. Now, this is kind of a misnomer. Scheduling is just the first skill that this is going to have. But imagine a really smart assistant that you can effectively tell what you want to have happen in the system. So for example, you could pull up an interface and you could simply ask it today, Blake is coming in, needs to come in for an appointment 2 weeks from now. He prefers the afternoons. Find some times that are available at our Southside location. This will go interrogate your schedule, recognize openings, bring back available appointments, and allow you to click on that without having to go search through an entire calendar. It will surface these recommendations for you right in a nice, easy to use sort of chat-based interface. And we see this ultimately advancing more and more down the line. Just imagine being able to take more and more actions from a single screen without having to go click and hunt and peck and find all the different areas that you have. So how do we think about RIO and what makes it so powerful? To me, I think RIO is wildly exciting because it's not just another AI add-on, right? Lots of companies out there are, buying AI companies and somehow jamming them into what they do, and it feels like a very disconnected solution. What I'm most proud about is that we are building the AI directly into the application. It is part of the day-to-day workflow tools that you're going to use, and in my opinion, we have the most robust clinical AI solution available. I just talked about the four solutions that are available on the market today, or let's call it before today. As of today, we have two new solutions that are rolling out. So we'll have six time-saving solutions built directly into the EHR that you use on a daily basis. And probably most importantly, this solution is built entirely by chiropractors for chiropractors, right? We spend all of our time, all of our energy focusing on how do we take this profession to the next level? How do we use the data sets that we have available from the 20 plus years of focusing on chiropractic care, take that information and make the lives of every single chiropractor easier, better, faster. And when we were asking ourselves, what's the most profound effect that we can have on the profession? How can we take the power of the technology that's coming out today and unlock the profession? And the answer was ultimately clear to us. We don't believe that AI should be sold as another add-on. We think that these advancements should be included to you at no additional cost. That's why every single ChiroTouch customer gets access to every single AI solution that we just talked about. And as RIO gets smarter and smarter, these skills become available across the board. So how should we think about using RIO in your workflow? As I mentioned, every single step of the way, there's an opportunity to make the process tighter, crisper, smarter, and ultimately remove clicks, remove the redundancy that that either you or your team are ultimately having to take. So let's kind of put it all together here. As you think about intake, right? We talked about the intake summary, effectively pulling in that entire form, summarizing that and dropping that right into your subjective. So literally, what used to take 10 to 15 minutes for new patient visits is a click of a button, takes a few seconds, and we'll drop that subjective right into your note. Then, like I mentioned, if you'd like to effectively know what's been going on with this patient over time, a single click of a button will summarize up to 30 notes and give you a very clear progression of care summary right at your fingertips. Patient walks in, now you're ready to start scribing the visit, right? So we launch Scribe, it listens to the conversation, generates the note in real time, whether that be for new patients or now the newly included feature will pull forward that prior note. And then following that, once the note is actually in the SOAP format, if you want to modify the language a little bit, if you like bullet points rather than narrative, you like it to be a little bit more concise or a little bit more verbose, you have the ability to use our chart assistant to effectively improve and modify your note right within ChiroTouch. And then once you have the note looking the way that you want it, you've started to generate your procedures and your diagnosis codes, you can then run a compliance scan, compare what you're going to bill out versus what you have documented and make sure that those two line up. Once all that's done, you're ready to schedule a follow-up rather than jumping over to the calendar and looking at a complicated calendar and trying to understand availability. You can simply ask the chat solution, find you some available times, and book that appointment. So starting to really change the dynamic, or more so change the relationship that providers ultimately have with the EHR. We think these advancements are really, really exciting. And again, we're seeing thousands of practices across the country already adopt this and already start to really see some major benefit. And don't take my word for it. Ultimately, the community is out saying many of these same things. Dr. Richard Munson, you can see, but I will kind of pull out one of the most interesting quotes that I've heard in my entire 17 years of doing this. He literally said the words, "I enjoy doing soap notes now." Literally never thought I would hear that. It really exciting to see, providers understanding the the type of power that these solutions can ultimately bring. Dr. Gary Coyne really used the words, this has the potential to be a real game changer, right? He has allowed himself to go in and focus more on the conversation that he's having with the patient and less about trying to remember exactly what he said, turning around and typing that into a computer. Someone on Reddit said it feels like they're saving an hour and a half a day. They're getting 1 to 2, their notes went from 10 minutes down to 1 or 2 minutes. That's a pretty shocking stat ultimately. And we have hundreds and hundreds of these quotes that we've had the opportunity to ultimately see. So hopefully you will see some of the power that RIO has. We're going to turn it over to Dr. Tammy Howard, and she's going to take it away for a live demo. Tammy.
Thanks, Blake, for setting the stage. Hi, everyone. I'm Tammy. I'm the director of product here at ChiroTouch, and I'm so excited to show you what we've been working on with RIO, our new suite of AI tools that are designed for chiropractors like you. We know from years of feedback that chiropractors spend way too much time charting. We often hear people say that they spend even an hour at the end of their day wrapping up their notes before they go home. We also know that you didn't get into this profession because you love documentation. You're here because you want to help patients. So we're designing RIO to help you focus on patients and not on a computer screen. Ultimately, so you can either help more patients or maybe just get home on time. I'll walk you through a few of RIO's talents. We'll start with our AI intake summarization, and then I'll show you our AI Scribe, and then we'll wrap it up with Compliance Scan. All these features are really aimed at helping you spend less time on the computer and much more time with your patients. So let's start first by looking at intake, that first touch point with your patients. So in the past, a patient may have filled out an intake form, and perhaps they filled that out on paper, or maybe you have patients filling out electronic intake forms. But even with patients filling out electronic intake forms, there was still a lot of review that was happening. So there was pages to review of information, and then you needed to also bring that into your chart note in some way to have all that clinically relevant information captured within your chart note. Now, RIO will do that for you. So as soon as the patient submits their intake form, we'll be able to see the intake form here. But rather than having to review all of this information, scanning through, trying to make sense of what the patients put into the long intake form, we can now just use RIO to pull this in a structured format. So RIO will go through and review the intake form that the patient has provided to you, and we'll start to bubble up the important insights from that you really need to see. And it'll be in a very professional looking format here to pull into the chart note. So here we can see that this particular patient was involved in a motor vehicle accident. We can see some of the complaints that resulted from that motor vehicle accident. And we have that full medical history of the patient below. And now with this single click, I can go ahead and put that into the chart note. Now, the other thing to keep in mind here is you're still completely in control. You can change any of this content. So let's say, for example, that you're talking to this patient and they indicate that actually they do have some radiation of this complaint into maybe that right shoulder. And in their intake form, we can see that they otherwise indicated that there was no issue here. So we'll just go ahead and change this in real time so that we can update it in the chart note. Now, we've heard from providers that they were spending upwards of 10 minutes for a patient reviewing that note and then reviewing that intake form and then pulling it into their chart note in the appropriate format. And now that takes seconds. So that's our AI intake summarization, really aiming at giving you that time back to focus. So let's go take a look at our AI Scribe. As many of you know, we have had an AI Scribe in the market for a few months now, and we've had thousands of chiropractors using our AI Scribe. One thing that we've heard from providers as they began to use this tool is that it was really helpful for a new patient exam or re-exam or maybe you have a lot more information that you need to get into the note, but there was still a strong preference on a day-to-day visit to work with our chart note macros. So here I've already pulled up a visit for a patient, and we've already got the content from the past note in place. And a lot of times people will just review this quickly and kind of come in here and make quick updates. But now have given Rio a new talent in that Rio will be able to have the context of that past visit alongside the conversation from today's visit so that Rio can then update those in real time. So, to demonstrate this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to role play. I'm going to be both the doctor and the patient for the sake of this. And I'm going to show you how Rio can now take what was here from this last note and what you say today to ultimately give you a streamlined note for today. So let's take a look. So we're going to go ahead and open up our AI Scribe. You'll see there's new context window here, and it's automatically pulling in this note from the last time. And I'm going to go ahead and just start transcribing here. Hi, Anita. It's great to see you again today. How are you doing since I last saw you? Oh, doc, my neck has still been hurting a lot, but it is a little bit better. I'd say it's gotten, maybe I'm a 5 out of 10 now. But one thing I have noticed is that my right shoulder is not hurting as much anymore. So while the neck hasn't changed much, my shoulder has gotten much better. I'm also noticing that when I sit at the computer for a long time, my low back is still hurting, but it's not quite as bad as it was before. Anita, that's great news. I'm glad to see that you're progressing. Let's go ahead and check you out and see how you're doing today. All right, I'm still noticing all the same objective findings from previous. And we're going to go ahead and adjust you like we did last time. And then I'll see you again on Friday. I'm also going to send you home with some stretches really aimed at helping you improve flexibility and range of motion in that lumbar spine. But I think that will really help you continue to improve on your treatment plan. So let's try that out and we'll see you again on Friday. Okay, so now I've got Rio Scribe has had the context from the last visit, and it's got the information that I provided to it in today's visit. And now what it's going to do is it's going to take both of those and combine them together to give me a new output that has all of that information in one note. So here we see that it's pulling in. There's a lot of information here that it didn't have from the previous note that it picked up from our conversation. And now if I wanted to, I could go ahead and just replace this existing note. It's pulling in all those findings from before, and I could go ahead and replace that existing note quickly to have now a new note from Scribe that's pulling all of that together in one spot. All right, so AI Scribe's getting smarter based off of our provider feedback. Now that we've got a chart note complete, let's think about how we can build some confidence that this note would pass a third-party payer audit. And that's where our new feature that's launching today comes in, Compliance Scan. So Compliance Scan is really aimed at helping you know that your note might pass an audit if you were to ever have a post-payment audit. Now, we know that many chiropractors out there have had that dreaded letter come in the mail where an insurance payer decides that they're going to do a post-payment audit. And ultimately, the stress response is real that happens when you receive one of those notes because a payer can decide to claw back revenue that they've already paid you, which puts your revenue at risk. So we've been working with industry expert Kathy Mills Chang to give you real-time insights to whether or not this note might pass a third-party payer audit. And think of this as having an expert at your fingertips at all times to give you that real-time feedback and get you documenting with confidence. So quickly, before I show you the compliance scan, I'm going to walk you through kind of this note so you can understand what some of the areas of concern might be. And so here in the note, you'll see that I've just put in a chief complaint in the neck region. And in my objective findings, I have nothing that speaks to anything around the cervical spine at all. All of my objective findings are about the lumbar spine, even though the patient's complaining of a cervical spine complaint. We'll also notice if we scroll down a little bit that I've billed a 98941, which is a 3 to 4 region code, and I don't have enough documentation to back that code up right now. So if we go and take a look at our compliance scan, and I ran this before so you could see it, you'll see that my scan is not great. I am not getting a passing score right now. And RIO has identified some issues, some documentation gaps, calling out that, patients complaining about a neck complaint, but we only have information about the lumbar spine. Also calling out that I billed for 3 to 4 regions, but I haven't done the necessary documentation to really back up that level of a code. And then some additional kind of feedback information here as well. So let's go see if we can get a better score. So we know, for example, that we should not be billing this 98941. We should be billing a 98940. So let's go grab a 98940 and we'll remove this 98941. And then additionally, let's update our note to show, this patient actually does have a lumbar complaint in addition to the cervical complaint. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a lumbar complaint here. And we'll just throw in some information quickly. Now, in my objective findings, I actually had cervical objective findings that I forgot to document previously. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some of those in. All right. And I did adjust the cervical spine. I just didn't document it. So let's go ahead and fix that. All right. So now we've changed our coding. We've updated our note. And if I go and rerun my compliance scan, it'll take a minute or two at this moment to run through this and give me the feedback that I need. And ultimately, what we're doing is we're working on like a dashboard type of view where this can run in the background. And at the end of the day, maybe you just review and see if there's any issues. But you see, it's not that. It's pretty quick at doing it. So if we go ahead and view our compliance scan now, I now have a passing score and I feel much better about this note. There's still some additional improvements I could make if I wanted to, but I feel pretty good about this score. I'm going to go ahead and ship this claim off to insurance, and I'm going to have some confidence that if I did have a post-payment audit, that I'm not going to have a clawback of that revenue. So that is compliance scan. And as you see, we've been developing really this start to end flow that's really designed to help you, give you time back with your documentation, and ultimately build confidence in the documentation that you're putting out there. And we're just getting started. We're learning from providers like you every day and constantly evolving based off of your feedback. If you're interested in more information, you can scan this QR code to learn more about RIO. And thank you all so much for your time. Let's get you back from behind the keyboard and back to doing what you love.
If you want the best deals on products and services, along with some of the best speakers in chiropractic, you're going to want to register for our next summit coming up soon. Click on down below and register today.